I'm stood on Harlech Beach. It's absolutely beautiful, and just over the sand dunes in that direction is the imposing, dominating and remarkable Harlech Castle. It stands proudly above the town, which has grown around it, and this was a castle which signalled the English rule over the Welsh. People who lived here during the medieval period hated the fact that an invading King of England had built a strong fortress to keep an eye on them, and they viewed Harlech Castle as a sign of oppression. But what is not as well known about the castle is that it is possibly one of the most remarkable castles and fortifications created during the medieval period, as it had in particular one feature that saved it from sieges and allowed the small guard force based at the castle to not starve and suffer. And that's exactly why I'm stood on Harlech Beach. Harlech Castle was besieged a number of times. Following its creation in the later part of the 13th century, the site became a target for Welsh rebels, and with this different groups tried to attack. It was garrisoned to begin with by 36 men, equipped with weapons such as crossbows and longbows, and in 1294 Madog ap Llewellyn began his uprising against the English, and this spread throughout Wales. Harlech was targeted and was besieged in the winter, but one thing that allowed the castle to survive was the fact that the English architects who planned the castle had built in a water gate and a stone set of steps down to the water. Water gates throughout history were used to resupply and bring resources, and sometimes people, into fortresses. For example, inside of the Tower of London, there is Traitor's Gate, where many high-profile prisoners, such as two of Henry VIII's wives, were brought into the Tower of London, avoiding the glare of the public. Watergates were a key but expensive creation for castles, and more importantly than bringing prisoners, they allowed fortifications to be resupplied from the sea, which was much safer at times of war and also during sieges. So as attacking Welsh forces would be outside of the gatehouse of Harlech and outside of the walls, aiming to starve the garrison inside, they didn't know, but the guards were being kept fed by the fact they would have supply ships land from Ireland and from further down the coast, dropping off food, weapons, ammunition and other things so they could continue the fighting. Of course, one thing that made this trickier was during winter and in times in which storms were hitting the Welsh coast, but it did allow sieges to go on for longer and for the attackers to get even more frustrated. The 1294 siege was just the beginning for Harlech, but as the castle managed to withstand and hold out, with the rebellion being put down, further building work was done to the Watergate and to the route down to the sea from the castle. A stairway was made, and this was very well protected too. In the year 1400, another revolt broke out in North Wales. This time it was led by Owen Glendower. Harlech remained under English control, but it stood against the rebels. The castle was very poorly equipped and allegedly only had 3 shields, 8 helmets, 6 lances, 10 pairs of gloves, what you said be, and 4 guns, and it was also very understaffed. Because of the lack of defenders, Harlech Castle did fall for the first time at the end of 1404, despite the lengthy siege, and this time reinforcements could not reach the castle by sea quick enough. They literally could not get here quick enough across there. But then the castle was retaken by the English, as the Welsh failed to utilise the sea gate effectively, and many of the Welsh inside of Harlech died from exhaustion and also the fact that their supplies ran out. But over the centuries, Mother Nature was not kind on Harlech Castle. I don't mean that the fortification became weathered or battered by the elements, but the castle, which once sat right next to the sea, became deserted by the sea. Today, the water, the sea literally there, is around 1 mile from the castle, and as the centuries passed, the water retreated and a marsh and beach was made by material being deposited from the sea and also a nearby river. So the former Watergate today leads today to a car park and a road at the bottom of the rock outcrop that the castle sits on. Today the sea gate of Harlech Castle would be absolutely no use if the castle was ever used again and was besieged, as there's simply no sea anywhere near it. It's strange to think that during the medieval period I'd be stood right now in the middle of the sea. Well, saying that, probably about a few hours ago I'd probably be stood in the middle of the sea as the tide's gone out. But yeah, what a beautiful place, and one of the best inventions to prevent a castle falling to an enemy, a sea gate.